topics and opinions expressed on the following show are solely those of the hosts and their guests and not those of W4WN Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4WN Radio, its employees, or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4WN Radio.
Did you know women represent just 3% of Fortune 500 CEOs and less than 15% of corporate executives at top companies worldwide? Have you wondered what the secrets are to getting into the top ranks, whether in the private or public sector? Do you want to figure out how to stop being held back in your career or passed over for promotion? Then you're in the right place. Hi, I'm Dr. Madeline Ann Lewis, President and CEO of the Executive Women's Success Institute. I have decades of experience in the military, the federal government, and corporate America, and my mission is to help women succeed and tap into their full potential. I want to reach 1 million plus women around the world to become the leaders they are meant to be. So if you want to move into a management or executive level position, or maybe you are a female veteran transitioning out of the military into business entrepreneurship, then reach out to the Executive Women's Success Institute at 301-693-3284. Let us get you on the fast track to success. Well, hello and welcome to the Success for Women show, where you can view us on Talk4 TV and listen to us on the Women for Women Network. I am Dr. Madeline Ann Lewis, your host, and my mission is to help women accelerate the path to success. Well, today's topic is Choose Yourself, Identity, Power, and Purpose. And my guest is Miss Urmi Hossain. And I tell you what, I am honored to have her here because she is coming to us from Canada today. But before I bring her on, let me just give you a little bit about her. Urmi is a self-published author, speaker, podcast host, and finance professional based in Canada. She holds the Chartered Financial Analyst and Chartered Alternative Investment Analyst designations, and she works in the financial services industry while using her platform to advocate for women's empowerment, identity, and self-leadership. Her book, Discovering Your Identity: A Rebirth from Interracial Struggle, explores her journey as a third culture woman navigating belonging, culture, and self-worth. Urmi also hosts Stories Beyond Borders, which is a podcast that amplifies diverse voices on identity, migration, language, and the meaning of home. It is such a pleasure to bring to the Successful Women show, Urmi Hossain.
Hi.
Hi, it is such a pleasure to have you on the show. Thank you. I know your schedule is probably really busy. Are going to just be glad to hear some of your journey and also talk about your book a little bit. So tell me something. You know, from your bio, I can tell that you wear many hats. Finance professional, author, speaker, podcast host. So how do you personally define success at this stage in your life?
I define success with one word, which is alignment. It's something that took me a while to understand. I think as a society, we think that success is about career, reputation, financial status, your perception that people have about you in the society. But I realized for me, it's about doing the things that make me happy and doing the things that I feel most fulfilled. And
Mhm,
for me, it's really about finding things that are aligned with my goals and values.
mhm. Now, your book, Discovering Your Identity, now I can tell that it's deeply personal. What moment or realization inspired you to finally tell your story?
It was basically a couple of years ago when I was invited to different podcasts, and every single time everyone was so fascinated about my story of being a third culture kid.
Mhm,
And I saw this as an opportunity to basically write my book. I didn't think it was going to come at that moment in my life. I didn't think it was going to come that soon. I knew that I was going to write a book eventually, but it came literally like 4 years ago. And so I saw this as an opportunity to make those conversations into a more concrete thing by writing my book, and I self published it.
mhm. Wow. And you know what? Like I said, it seems like it's very personal to you because as a third world or as a third culture woman, you've navigated, I know, questions of belonging and self worth. When did you begin to see your identity not as a struggle, but more as strength?
Even that it happened a couple of years ago. I think I had to do a couple of internal work and a lot of reflection and a lot of understanding of myself and my identity and how I wanted to be portrayed in the world and what kind of cultures I wanted to represent. And
Mhm,
so, after having a lot of conversations, open dialogues, finding community of people similar to me, I finally came to the realization that me having exposure to multiple cultures, it's an asset. It is more like a strength, something that I can use as my storytelling. And so me having exposure to, two cultures to begin with, the Bengali, the Italian one, it's an asset. It's quite powerful, and it means, that I can speak two languages. It means that I have exposure to cultures. It means that I have exposure to different traditions, to different cuisines. And so that it was in that moment that I saw this more like an asset and not a weakness.
mhm. Wow. Now, we all know that many women they feel pressure to kind of shrink back or maybe conform to fit into professional or cultural spaces. How did you learn to choose yourself instead?
I agree with what you just said. I feel like we just shrink ourselves more often than not
Hmm.
to fit an ideology of what's considered to be the perfect daughter, the perfect woman working for a company. But for me, really, I came to a realization that I didn't want to like follow that,
Hmm.
and I put myself first by basically putting boundaries and protecting my energy, protecting my aura. And it was at that moment that I decided that, it's okay to think differently. It's okay to follow the conventional. It's okay to put yourself first. It's okay to follow your own path, because at the end of the day, you cannot always make everyone happy, and so it's more important that you make yourself happy before making happy someone else.
Absolutely, and that is definitely key. And what you said about, like I said, shrinking back, that's something women tend to do a lot. And so I think, reading your book is would be a perfect example to help them to move past and beyond that type of behavior conforming to and
Hmm.
just realize that hey, you have to do what's best for you.
Hmm.
Yeah.
That's right.
Mhm. So, what does self leadership mean to you, and why is it especially important for women today, do you think?
So, for me, when I think about leadership, I truly think that it's all about impact, influence,
Mhm.
and it's about sustainability. I think that women are typically leading in a way where they're creating impact and inspiring other women to do the same. It's no longer about titles. I think I used to have that notion that leadership is all about, you know,
Yeah,
climbing the corporate ladder and being the CEO of a company, being the VP, the SVP of a company. And honestly, that's how I used to think the success was going to be. That if I can become a manager of a company, it means I'll be a successful woman. But I
mhm,
realized that I was developing those leadership skills even by being in a lower level positions. And it wasn't, about my title. It was about the fact that I was part of a community, building a community, giving back to the community. It was about inspiring other people, and that's how I started to see leadership. It's about leading by example and being inspiration to other people and making sure that you are creating an impact. And when I think about big names, most important leaders that for me were true leaders, that's what they did. Like if I think about Gandhi, who is someone that I very much admire, I think he was a true leader, very charismatic. He was giving back to the community. He was helping people, and so for me, that's what it means when it comes to leadership.
absolutely. And you're absolutely correct when you say, a lot of people look at leadership as having a certain title, and that gives them that, oh, I'm the leader. But it's really not about titles. It's about you and how you handle yourself, the way that you, like you said, the impact you make, and how you're, the people that are looking at you, just what exactly are they thinking of you as the person,
Mhm,
they want to follow, you
mhm.
know? So, and all those things, that plays a big part in leadership. And again, like I said, a lot of people don't realize that it's not about the title. Yeah.
That's it. That's it.
Yeah, for women who feel caught between cultures, expectations, or certain roles, what do you think is the first step toward reclaiming their own authentic identity?
I think it's about finding good allies,
Mhm,
finding like partners or trusted people. I call them partner, meaning that I always say it's like any kind of like network that you do, it's about partnership. And
mhm,
I think that finding allies, finding mentors, finding people that advocate for yourself are the first step to reclaim yourself, because I think sometimes we are our worst critics. We don't believe in ourselves. We
you're
don't
so correct.
we we don't trust ourselves. And I think sometimes if you have the right kind of people around you who support your ideas and who encourage you,
Mhm,
they will help you to find that power that it's sitting there, but it's waiting to be used. And so for me, I think it's about finding the right people around you, mentors, allies, partners, people that advocate for you. And I think it's also important to don't just rely on your circle of people. I
mhm,
think it's okay to go out and find other kinds of people that are like similar to you in terms of like values and who has your same interests. So for instance, like there's so many like local events that happen in every single city. That when you have conferences, you have
mhm.
social events, networking events, especially now with international women that you have so many. Just go ahead and participate to some of these events and network with like mind like people.
Mhm, mhm.
So that would be my advice for anyone who's like reclaiming, who's looking to reclaim themselves.
I totally agree with that, because if you stay in that same little box, then, where's the stretch? How are you going to, know what how you should, look at, in other words, have different perspectives too,
Mhm.
because when you meet different people from different places, like for example, here I'm here in Maryland and you're in Canada, so we're kind of reached across here,
Yeah,
to network, and that's pretty much what it's all about. And you have to, and I think that's why I like to bring guests on from different areas of, around the country, different things like that, because it's always a different perspective. You can always see what how they look at things, even with leadership, even with success. Everybody have their own definition of those things,
mhm,
of how leadership should be, how success, how to define success. But if you stay in the same little box, then you're going to keep that same opinion. You won't have that different perspective. Yeah.
that's it. I agree, and I think that's how you get like different ideas and different interests is when you get outside of that comfort zone and you're willing to speak with someone that you would never have
Mm,
spoken before. Yeah.
exactly. Exactly. Now, representation is a major theme in your work. I know that. So, what do you believe telling our stories, especially as women of color or immigrant women, why is that so powerful?
So for me, when I think about representation, it's about possibilities.
Hmm.
And I also think representation as leading by example
Hmm.
and being determined. So what I mean by that, and for me, representation, like I said, is very, very important. But for me, really, what it means is that I'm showing up for myself, but I'm showing up for other people. And if I
Absolutely.
do not show up at all, I'm not making any kind of changes. And I always make this example of what happened to me a couple of years ago. I went to an interview, and before going to this interview, I looked into the management team and I was like trying to see if there was diversity, if there was representation, and of course, there was none of that. And
Mhm.
so I pointed this out during the interview and I asked the interviewer, like, what do you do in terms of that? Like, why don't you have women in your team? Why don't you have women of color in your team? And he was quite honest with me, the interviewer. Like, he was really upfront about it. And he was like, it's not about us not wanting to have representation. It's just that women do not apply.
Mm,
And let me tell you this, I was a little bit turned off at that moment. And I also didn't want to go to that interview because I was like, there's no representation. What am I going to do there?
mhm.
But I told myself that no, you know what? I'm still going to go to this interview. If eventually I get the job, my face will be on the website. And
Right.
that's how I'm going to make that change going forward. Anyway, I did not. The interview went well, just to
Mm,
like say very briefly, it went well, but I decided not to go with that because it was not aligned with me.
mhm.
But for me, that's what it means representation, like making sure that you are changing the story going forward by
Absolutely.
showing up in places where representations is very much needed.
Exactly, because sometimes it just takes one to open that door for the others to
Yeah.
follow, to be able to go through the door. And as women, as we've talked about the shrinking back, a lot of times we don't think we're qualified sometimes to go into those places. Like you went, you did the interview, um, but when you asked that question, that could have deterred you
Yeah.
from even doing the interview. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but that was good, that you definitely you went on through it. Now, your book, when you talk about it, discovering your identity and different things like that, what made you decide to write your story? What made you decide to just put it in print?
You know what? I read another book prior to writing my book, and when I was reading that book, I
Hmm.
just felt the person was telling my story. Like, it was so relatable. And I
Mhm.
thought maybe even my story could be relatable to someone. So that's why I
Mhm.
wanted to write it. And I was going to different shows, to different mini podcast shows where they were asking my story of being a third culture kid. And they were all very interested in knowing my experience growing up in Italy. And so I was like, you know what, let me just write it, let
Mhm.
me just write it and see where this could go. I just didn't think it was going to happen that soon. And for me, it was like journaling. It was digital journaling because I was just typing it, and I was
Mhm.
typing about my childhood, my teenagehood. So it was quite nice as a process because I was reliving those moments as if they happened yesterday, even
Mm.
though like it's been 20 years. And
Mhm.
so it was quite a nice process, and it's easy when you're talking about yourself. So
Mhm.
it was quite effortless. I would just sit down every day and write it. And then I saw the actual concrete creation. I was like, oh my gosh, I did it. It's I can go and tell people I'm a self-published author now.
Mhm. Mhm. Now, based on all of that, have you, ever struggled with, say, imposter syndrome, particularly being in the industry that you're in? And if you did, how did you work through it? Because again, like we talk about, a lot of women sometimes they don't feel qualified to be in those areas, in those spaces. So, was that something you ever struggled with?
Okay, you know what? I was never familiar with this word until I started to go to webinars and workshop, and they would like talk about imposter syndrome, and I was like, what is that?
What's that? Yeah.
Exactly. What is that? But
Mhm.
you know what? I think we're all a victim of it. We just don't
Yes.
realize
Yeah.
it. We
Yes.
just don't realize it. And I think me too. Like I always tell myself, I can do this, but then I start second guessing myself. And
Mhm.
that's when I realize that, okay, this is me. Like, it's my imposter syndrome. And I think every single person suffers from it, and women especially. And we're always like second guessing ourselves. And so me, one thing that I did, because I am guilty of it, I try to work on it. I try to work on it by reframing some of the sentences, by writing like positive affirmations that I can do it, by rewiring my brain to think otherwise. So I use this little trick to make it like work. And
Mhm.
then the other thing that I am starting to do is also like document a little bit of the things that I accomplished, because sometimes I'm thinking, I don't think I'm good enough for something, but then I'm like, no, but I did all of those
I
things.
did all of that.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So,
And that's a good point, because I started doing the same thing a little while ago, because just like even though you do things, but until you put it down, you think, oh wow, I did do that. I can do that. And because we do second guess ourselves as women, and it's always, well, what if I'm not good enough? What if I fail? What if? It's always in the back of your head, what if, so I totally agree with you. I started doing the same thing, writing those accomplishments down, and believe it or not, at the end of the year, couple years ago, I started making a video, and I do the video at the end of the year to put out there all the things that I accomplished, my company accomplished during the year. And I mean, it's always to me so amazing. It's like, dang, I didn't know did all that during the year. But that is such a good thing to do, believe it or not, because again, when that imposter syndrome hits you, just pull out your notes, pull out your, whatever, wherever you're keeping that information, and just look at the fact that yes, you are qualified. Yes, you can do it. You've done it. And this time you'll do it even better. So that
yeah.
truly does work. It really does.
And
Yeah.
and you know what? I recently I was like completing a form because I was applying for something, and they were asking me, "Do you have any experience in hosting like events?" And in my mind, I was like, "Yeah, I do, but I don't know how many I have." But then they asked me to list them, and I started to writing them down. I was like, "Oh, damn, no, I do have a lot. Why am I thinking like I did not
So,
have any
yeah,
of that?"
exactly. And that's one of the things when I did my TEDx talk, and I said in there, and and because it was from the Harvard Business Review, and it literally said that about men, how they will apply for a position when they feel they may be only 60% qualified for it. But a woman will look at that same position and feel she has to be 100% qualified before she will even apply for it, which is such, a big span. Because, see, they get in the position and they think, I'll just learn as I go. But we feel like we have to walk into it knowing everything. And that's not true.
That's right. And I think it's the way we have been conditioned to
Condition.
be, to be
Yes.
perfect, always perfect. And because of that, I think we just walk away when we don't meet all the requirements.
All the requirements. Sometimes we talk ourselves out of
Yeah.
something that could very well be,
Yeah.
what we're good at, and
I
have been good at, and we just don't recognize it. Yeah.
I
Wow.
agree. I
Mm.
agree.
Yeah. Your podcast, Stories Beyond Borders, it explores identity, migration, and the meaning of home, correct? What has surprised you the most from some of the stories that you've heard?
Everything. Everything, because some of the stories that I listened to were quite surprising, and at the same time unrealistic, because
Mhm,
before hearing the stories I was like, no, this cannot happen nowadays, but it did. Like, I
mhm,
used to like think that some of the reason why people leave their countries, which you just see it on like on movies, like in the movies. There was this particular guest who told me that she had to leave her home country because of like war reasons back in the days. And she was telling me about this episode where like she just took her teddy bear, and then like she just like left the country with her mother. And I used to think that that was just happening in the movies, like really.
mhm, mhm,
I was like, no, this happened
mhm,
only in the movies. But the fact that she told me that it really happened to her, and I was like, wow, that's like that's that's really like, and like, not, you cannot imagine something like that. So for me, that was quite an eye opener. And
mhm,
then there was another guest who also talked about her being biracial, and how, like, she was half white and half black, and how, she felt privileged because she looked white, but sometimes, she wished that she looked black
mhm,
to be
mhm,
closer to that, the other part of her identity. And a lot of the stories are really relatable too. Like, I invited people who are very similar to me, like they grew up in one country, but the parents come from another country. And even though the countries could be different, we
mhm,
all go through the same struggles, trying to fit in, trying
mhm,
to look alike, trying to be like that, those people that are living in the same countries as us. So
mhm,
it's been a nice experience so far. I enjoy, interviewing people, and
mhm.
I enjoy hearing their immigration stories.
Mm. Now, have any of the conversations that you've had on your podcast, has any of those stories stayed with you or shifted your own perspective?
Definitely, one thing that I am much more aware is that every single human being has a story to share.
Yeah.
And one thing that I'm also much more aware is our names.
Mm.
We have, each one of us has a different name, and sometimes people ask me how to pronounce my name, like a little bit like you said
Yeah, yeah.
at the beginning. And I'm a bit more mindful too about like pronouncing people's names,
Mhm.
because I feel like when you are mispronouncing someone's name, you are in a way not disrespecting, but I'm trying to find a better word for this, but
Mhm.
you like, you're not showing respect towards the person's
Right.
story. And
And then again, some people, I think they may not feel comfortable asking you how to pronounce it. But for me, I always do it if it's a name that I'm not that familiar with. I do it because I'm coming on air and we're putting it out there. So I want to make sure I'm putting it out there correctly. Now, I think there was only one guest that I had that her name, it was just a tongue twister. It was just it was just hard for me to pronounce it correctly, but I still tried to make that effort to do that because I knew just looking at the name, I couldn't just come on air and automatically think I knew what it was.
Yeah,
You know.
yeah, for sure. And I'm not like, I know that sometimes it's like it could be like a, an honest mistake. We don't do it on purpose. But I realize that it's important to ask people's name before, because names do carry a meaning, they do carry a history, a
Exactly.
story, they do carry a lot. And sometimes behind a name there is really a lot. And
Mhm,
so for me, it's something that I'm a bit more mindful now, and I'm very curious now when it comes to names that I'm not used to it. I know
mhm.
there's so much that this person can share about themselves.
Well, it's amazing that you say that because my name, I always felt that it wasn't that uncommon, but you wouldn't believe how many people mispronounce my name.
There you go.
Well, one, because they assume that it's supposed to be pronounced a certain way when they look at it. And it's not. It can be pronounced several different ways, but they always assume I guess, their version of what they want it to be. So, I get that too, and I just correct them and then let it go, and and hope that they remember. Okay, that's the way it's supposed to be pronounced. But yeah, I totally understand, and I definitely think that if you see someone's name and you can't pronounce it, you really should ask them. Out of respect that you, like you said, because you want to make sure that you're getting it right. So
Yeah.
I'm glad. I hope that I was getting
All good, all good.
so tell me, looking back, what would you tell your younger self who was still searching for where she belonged?
I think I would definitely tell her, like, give yourself permission to be whoever you want.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Now, your book, again, I keep going back to your book because I just think it's so fascinating. What do you hope women will take away after reading your book or listening to your work? What do you hope they'll take away from that?
To accept themselves for who they are and embrace every single aspect of their identity,
Mhm.
and to basically pursue their goals in life, which don't have to be necessarily what society expects them to be. So to put themselves first, to follow their dreams, to dream big. Yeah.
Okay. And just to make sure the listening audience know the title of the book, let me give the title again. It is, I want to make sure I got it right. It's her book is Discovering Your Identity, a Rebirth from Interracial Struggle. Is that the entire, I gave it the entire
Yes,
title,
that's
right?
right.
Okay, that's what it is. A rebirth, discovering your identity, a rebirth from interracial struggle. So I just wanted to make sure that everybody know, since we keep kind of alluding to the book, that remember what the title, and I'm going to type it in the chat so that it can go across the screen and be on there too. So finally, what's next for you, and how do you hope to continue empowering women to live boldly and unapologetically?
So definitely, I do have a lot of things in mind, and there are a lot of things that are in the progress. So I definitely want to continue volunteering and being part of the organization Women in Leadership as the co-chair for the Montreal chapter and create events and community over there for the women in Montreal.
Mhm.
I do want to continue mentoring. I am a big advocate when it comes to mentoring and sharing your wisdom with the other women. And I think that happens really through conversations from one woman to another woman.
Mhm.
And the other thing that I want to do, and you like did it, which is to deliver at TEDx eventually. It's
Okay.
my it's my big dream is to be on a stage and speak. So I've been working hard for that one, but it's been quite challenging, I have to say, very challenging so far.
Hey, then look. Okay, now let's not go back into that syndrome again. You'll be able to do it. It can be done. So we know it can be done. So that's what we're going to keep thinking that you will get that done.
Yeah.
So tell me, uh, if you had one piece of advice to leave with our viewers and our listeners, what would that advice be?
One piece of advice would be to invest your time
Mhm.
in getting knowledge, to continue studying and to have a life as a lifelong learner.
I heard that. And what if our viewers and listeners wanted to get a copy of your book, where can they get it? And also if they wanted to reach out to you, how can they do so?
Yeah, so my book is called Discovering Your Identity, a Rebirth from Intuition Struggle. It's available on Amazon. And if people want to connect with me, I have a LinkedIn profile called Urmi Hossain. I have a YouTube channel called Urmi Hossain. And my podcast is available on Apple and Spotify, and it's called Stories Beyond Borders.
Absolutely. And I also made sure to put your email address. It's also running across, it has run across the screen. So I just want to thank you so much for coming on the show and sharing your journey with us. It has definitely been powerful. I was just excited when you reached out and wanted to be on the show. And after seeing your book and knowing your journey, it's just great to have you here. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
All righty, you take care, and hopefully we'll see you again when you do your
I
TEDx
know.
talk. We'll bring you back to tell us about
I
that.
know.
All righty. Okay, so thank again to my guest, Miss Urmi Hassan. And now I'm just going to give you all a little bit of what's going to be going on. I am honored, of course, to continually share that I'm officially one of the founding women on the Empower Her Wall by She Rises Studios in partnership with Phoenix TV, a global movement of showcasing 200 trailblazing women on one powerful digital wall inside Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas, Nevada. So on February 22nd, 2026, the Empower Her Wall will be unveiled. And when the lights rise and the cameras roll, the world will witness something extraordinary. It will see 200 women standing together, not in competition, not in division, but in unity, equality, and shared prosperity. I'm also really, really excited about the Successful Women radio and TV show. As you know, we were on the FeedSpot list of the top 100 best career mindset and working women podcasts, and that now we have gone from number 16 on the list, guess what, to number 11. Yay! I wish I had some streamers to put out there. I'm telling you, that's not bad if I say so myself. So, this list highlights podcasts that empower women to build successful careers, navigate workplace challenges, and find true fulfillment in work and life. And I'm honored to be among those that are on that list. And as an example, is our guest that was on here today telling us about her journey. of how she did the things that she did. So those are the types of things that we want to continue to bring on the show and share with you all. Don't forget to make sure to check out my book, Show Up to Rise Up, Explore the Transformative Power of a Positive Mindset, which achieved bestseller status on Amazon in the Women in Business category. It's also available on Amazon. And to get the book, you can put my name in the search box and it will come right up. Or you can email me directly at madeline@exwsi.com. Or go on my website, which is www.exwsi.com. Click on the Success Bookstore and you'll be able to also purchase the book from there. And if you have not viewed my TEDx talk that I did in Vancouver, Canada, make sure to do so. The topic was Show Up to Rise Up, and you can watch it on YouTube. Just put my name in the search box, or you can send me an email at info@exwsi.com, and I will send you the direct link so that you can make sure to check it out. Because I'm always excited to see that it's still going out there. People are still viewing it. It's at 226,814 views. And of course, my goal is to reach 1 million plus views. So I do want to thank you all in advance for your support in continuing to share, to like, and commenting on the video. So make sure you keep continuing to push it out there. I'm also a contributing writer to the Own It magazine, where I share nuggets and resources every month. Own It magazine is a resource for personal and professional and business development. So make sure you get your free subscription. And to do so, you can also contact me, Madeline, at exwsi.com for the details on getting your free subscription to Own It magazine. Again, I would like to thank my guest, Ms. Irma Hassan, and my viewers and my listeners for joining me today. This is the Successful Women Show. I am your host, Dr. Madeline Ann Lewis. And if you would like to reach out to me, you can email me at info@exwsi.com, or go to my website, www.exwsi.com. And while you're there, you can download my free 3-part video series on 3 things every woman should do to position herself for executive leadership. I would also like you to sign up for my online course, which is Crack the Career Code: How to Lead with Confidence, Charisma, and Credibility. To sign up for the course, you can go to www.crackthecareercode.com. You can also reach out to me on all the social media platforms. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe to all the channels, the YouTube channel, the Women for Women network, also Talk for TV. And make sure that you like this episode. Make sure you share this episode with your friends, colleagues, and all others. Again, this is the Successful Women Show. We are here every week. I am your host, Dr. Madeline Ann Lewis, helping women to accelerate the path to success. Thank you again for joining me. I love you all to life. And as always, be well and stay safe out there.
This is